after distancing herself from Moen, and lifted her hand and gently wiped away her tears. After waking up from her coma, she noticed that the surrounding environment had changed. She didn't know what had happened during her coma, so she asked Moen, "After waking up, I only saw young master's naked figure, and the evil god disappeared. Did the young master solve the evil god?" Upon hearing Anne's words, Moen suddenly didn't know how to explain to her. Moen raised his hand nervously and gently scratched his cheek. After all, he relied on the power of the withered king to defeat the god of love. However, he doesn't want Anne to know about this matter for the time being. He silently said in his heart, "If Anne finds out that I make a deal with the evil god, it will definitely cause her unnecessary worry. It's better not to tell her about King of Wither for now." After thinking for a while, Moen lied to Anne and explained the situation of loving God. "We successfully find her core and destroyed it. This can be considered as a joint solution between me and Aluca's husband. By the way, you still have an important thing to do." And lifted her head slightly and looked at Moen, feeling a little puzzled. She asked him, "An important thing?" Moen turned around and pointed to a large pit not far from them, and turned his head and looked towards the big pit. At this moment, she suddenly noticed someone in the big pit. "That's Aluca." After the smoke dissipated, Aluca's figure appeared in their line of sight. However, at this moment, there was no glimmer in her eyes, and she couldn't stand up from the ground. Her breathing became increasingly weak. From her situation, she has very little time left. Moen said to Anne, "That's right. She still has breath left, and she's about to dissipate soon. Let's hurry up." Seeing that Aluca's body had turned into what it is now, and couldn't help but gently cover her mouth with her hand. She was very surprised by the current situation of Aluca. This reminded her of the pitiful experience of Aluca. Aluca noticed a familiar person walking towards her. She wanted to sit up, but her physical condition no longer allowed her to do so. She could only maintain her current posture, and asked in a weak voice, Is it master?" And replied, "Yes." Aluca noticed that the surrounding environment had quieted down, and felt that the evil god seemed to have left her body. She continued to ask Anne, "Is everything over now?" And slowly squatted down beside Aluca, and listened attentively to what Aluca was saying. She looked at Aluca with serious eyes and said to her, It's all over now. The evil god who controlled you has been eliminated." Upon hearing Anne's words, Aluca breathed a sigh of relief. "Really? That's great." At this moment, recalling everything that had happened before, Aluca felt very regretful. She closed her eyes and apologized to Anne. "I'm sorry, Master. I deceive you." And felt a bit puzzled, and didn't understand why Aluca would say that. "You deceive me? What does it mean?" Aluca explained the truth of everything that had happened during this period to Anne one by one. "Actually, my contamination by evil god has nothing to do with Master. At that time, I deceive Master just because I don't want you to leave me. I've had some connection with that evil god since a long time ago. I trade the flesh and blood of the orcs for a pittance of aid." At this moment, Moen also walked up to Aluca's side and listened attentively to her story. After all, Rod is too excellent. If I didn't use some ways, I wouldn't have been able to catch up with him. During this period, the evil god has not shown any unusual behavior. Until the day I talked to Master, I gathered the courage to confess my feelings to Rod. After hearing this, and felt a little sad for her, she asked Aluca, "What is the result? Have you failed?" Aluca replied, "No, I succeeded." That night, Rod said, "He liked me too, but we couldn't be together." Recalling this sad incident, Aluca opened her eyes and couldn't help but shed tears. However, and did not understand their approach. "Why? You are in love. Why can't you be together?" "Because Tiya is pregnant with his child." Aluca could imagine Tiya gently caressing her already bulging belly with a smile, and eagerly anticipating the arrival of the baby in this world. She could also imagine what Tiya would be like as a mother. Aluca recalled that night. Rod took her to a big tree and told her a shocking truth. Rod said, "In fact, he has always liked me. He has liked me since a long time ago, but he has never dared to confess his feelings. During a time when he was using alcohol to drown his sorrows, he ended up having a drunken encounter with Tiya, who had been comforting him. Tiya is pregnant with his child. Rod is a responsible and good man, so he won't abandon Tiya." Upon hearing this, and was somewhat surprised by Tiya's pregnancy. However, she did not believe that Tiya's pregnancy was true. She furrowed her brow slightly and asked Aluca, "Getting pregnant at once? Don't you have any doubts?" Actually, at that time, Aluca also felt that this matter was not very credible. She said to Anne, "I suspect her." Aluca recalled that she had received help from evil gods at that time. So, she found the statue of the evil god and silently made her wish to it. "That's why I made a wish to that evil god. I want to know if Tiya is really pregnant." As a result, after making her wish, she seemed to be completely swept away by her emotions. When she regained consciousness, she found herself in a strange room. In front of her, Tiya had already stripped naked and tied to a cross. Tiya lowered her head, with wounds and bloodstains all over her body. Then, Aluca noticed that she also had a large amount of blood on her body and was holding a knife. She realized that she had killed Tiya. "When I woke up, I was already covered in blood. I dug Tiya's belly. But it's all fake. Tiya doesn't have a child in her belly. That's Tiya's plan to monopolize Rod." Tiya's eyes lost their radiance, and there were still some bloodstains left at the corners of her mouth. She stood motionless here, appearing to have long lost the sign of life. "Master, love is so fragile that a lie can easily break apart two people who should have loved each other. I exposed the lie, but I can't turn back anymore." After listening to this story, and couldn't help but shed tears, she felt sad about Aluca's experience and her longing for love. After noticing an abnormal situation in one room, Rod immediately ran to that room and opened the door. As a result, he learned that Aluca had killed Tiya. Aluca continued to speak to Anne. Rod saw Tiya, whom I killed with my own hands. He thought I was being manipulated by an evil god and wanted to subdue me. So, I made a second wish again. I want Rod to accept my love. Since then, everything has been irretrievable. Master, I regret it so much. If only I had met Master earlier. At this point, Aluca's body had slowly turned into black particles and gradually dissipated into the air. This means her life is nearing its end. Aluca cried and said to Anne, "If only I had gathered the courage to confess my feelings to Rod earlier. Unfortunately, there is no such thing. So, I hope you can find happiness, Master." And covered her mouth with her hand, and tried to suppress the sound of her crying. Her tears kept falling down like beads with broken threads. Prove to me that love can bring beautiful things. After speaking, Aluca's body had completely turned into black particles and dissipated into the air. At this moment, the morning sun had slowly risen. The bright sunshine shone on Anne and Moen, as well as on the black particles around them. Perhaps the sun also wants to use this way to make her feel a little warmth in the last moment of her life.